What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is session number 22, back at the win for some more deep stack 2-5 no limit. We grab the max 1500. Let's get right into the hands. About 20 minutes in, we pick up ace queen from +1. I raise to 15, small blind calls, and big blind puts in the 3-bet to 65. He just showed aces 5 minutes earlier. He has 1200 behind. His range is probably pretty buttoned up here since I was an early raiser. I decide to flat and position, and that brings in the small blind who started with 1000. So we go 3 ways to a flop of queen, 3 deuce, rainbow. We have top pair, top kicker on a dry board. Small blind checks, big blind continuation bets for 110. He most likely has ace king, kings, jacks, maybe 10s at the bottom of his range, or possibly the same hand as us. So I make the call expecting it to be heads up, but the small blind makes the call, and that's concerning given this board. Feels like a set of deuces or threes given the pre-flop action. So we go 3 ways to a king of clubs on the turn. Pretty bad card. Both players check to me. Feels like a trap. I check back. River is another king of diamonds. Here comes the small blind now with a bet of 325. Big blind goes into the tank for a bit. I'm planning on laying this down if it folds, since small blind shouldn't have many bluffs here to lead into both of us. The big blind eventually decides on a call, which makes our decision even easier. We make the laydown, and small blind indeed shows pocket threes for a full house. Big blind said he had ace king, so everyone's hand makes sense, and we got away losing the minimum. Shortly after that hand, we get moved to the main game and pick up king jack suited on the button. Under the gun opens for 15, cutoff calls. I make the call in position, and we go 3 ways to a flop of ace 7-5 with 2 diamonds. We flop the nut flush draw in position here. Original raiser bets 15, next player calls, and it's on us. I think about sticking in a raise here, but decide against it. We have a small pot, and it wouldn't be a great spot to get 3-bet with just a flush draw, so I take a cheap turn for 15 bucks, and we get there, no waiting, 10 of diamonds on the turn for the nut flush with a royal flush draw now. First player slows down and checks. The cutoff wants to represent the diamonds before I can. He fires out 65. We have a stranglehold on the hand here with the king and jack of diamonds. The cutoff, he bet pretty quick on the turn. I don't really feel like he has much, and it's a super small chance he even has a flush. The best he can have is queen high for the second nut, so I decide to keep it disguised and just call. If I thought either player was really strong, I'd probably put it in the raise on the turn. I wasn't expecting the under the gun player to call as well, but he does. He makes the call for 65, and we go 3 ways to a 3 of diamonds on the river, putting 4 diamonds on the board. Kind of an action killer, but hey, we still have the nuts. Both players check to me now, so we need to decide on a bet size here. I imagine at least one of my opponents had a diamond to be betting and calling on the turn, so I decide on a bet of 80, just over a quarter of the pot. Under the gun player calls, next player folds, we show the goods and take it down. About 2 hours of frozen cards go by before picking up pocket queens from under the gun +1. I raise to 15. The cutoff, button, and big blind all make the call. We go 4 ways to a flop of 7, 8, 9 with 2 spades. This flop is best for all of my opponent's ranges. Big blind checks. I should probably just open fold. I check. Cutoff bets 35, and it folds back to me. With an overpair and backdoor straight and flush draws, I figure I'll peel one more and see if we can improve. I make the call, and we get a 6 of clubs on the turn. Now we aren't beating anything. We're beating ace 9, king 9, queen 9, jack 9, flush draws, that's about it. I check, and he checks back. River is a jack of diamonds. Flush draw misses, but like I said, that's about all we can beat. I check, hoping for showdown here, but he tosses out a bet of 100. Back on us, I decide there's too many hands that just beat us here. I make the laydown, and he's nice enough to show us a set of 7s for the winner. Thank you, sir. Nice hand. For the vlog, baby. Thanks for showing, man. Another hour and a half goes by with nothing playable before picking up pocket deuces under the gun. Looks like aces to me right now. The button straddle for $10 is on, and I make the rare under the gun limp. I mean, you could probably open fold this hand, limp, raise. Actually, you can do whatever you want because it's your money. So I limp, small blind, and big blind call. Straddler checks. We go 4 ways to a flop of queen, 6, deuce, rainbow. Of course, we flopped the set there. We didn't raise it pre-flop. Small blind leads right out for 30. We figure he has top pair at least to be leading into 3 of us, right? So with a dry board and only a gut shot straight draw out there, I just flat for deception, hoping he improves, or maybe another opponent will improve as well. We get a 9 diamonds on the turn. Unfortunately, he slows down and checks. I still think he probably has a weak queen here, so I bet 45 for value, and he mucks it right away. Game isn't great and I'm hungry, so pick up the chips here for dinner break at Charlie's in the Wynn Sportsbook. We're only stuck about $80 and we're going to come back and start fresh, and we get back in a short-handed game. I lose a few hundred right off the bat with a 3-bet with ace queen and c-bet that didn't get through. We top off the stack to 1500. We're in the game for 18. We pick up pocket sevens next in the cutoff. Under the gun +1 opens for 20. I flat and the small blind calls. We go 3 ways to a flop of queen 6-5 rainbow. Pretty good flop with only 1 over to worry about. Initial raiser c-bets for 25. Decent possibility we still have the best hand. I make the call and the small blind folds. We go heads up to a 4 of diamonds on the turn. It's a great card for our late position range. If he bets again, it's likely we're behind, but now we can turn our hand into a bluff, repping the 7-8 since we're holding 2 sevens. He checks the turn though. Likely we are ahead. We don't want to let any overcards get there, draw for free, so I bet 40 and he lays it down.
No. I mean, if I could, I'd go get it.
Next, we pick up pocket queens again, this time from the small blind. The $10 under the gun straddle is on, and it folds to the button, who raises to 30. He's a new player who just sat with 1500. We're definitely getting some more money in against the button here. I 3-bet to 100. Straddler folds, and button makes the call. So we go heads up to a flop of king 9 deuce rainbow. Action's on us. I think a small bet or a check is fine here to keep the pot under control. I also might check some strong hands like sets of kings or nines, so I check and he checks back. We get a jack of hearts on the turn. With ace king, I think he either 4-bets pre-flop or bets that flop. So with that in mind, I feel okay betting 110 on the turn for value against maybe ace jack, 10 jack suited, and he makes the laydown. 20 minutes later, we pick up 4-6 suited in the small blind. Under the gun $10 straddles on. One player limps early. I call, big blind calls, and straddler checks the option. We go 4 ways to a flop of 10-3-3 with 2 hearts, so we flop a baby flush draw. I check, and everyone else checks. We get a 7 of clubs on the turn, so it puts 2 clubs, 2 hearts out there now, but it upgrades our hand to a flush and straight draw. We got a small pot for sale nobody seemed interested in, so I bet 25, hoping to take it down here. Big blind calls though, and the other players fold. We get a blank deuce of clubs on the river. It completes the club draw, but I don't think the big blind called with a flush draw on the turn. He could be holding all the 3s as well, or maybe just turn top pair of 7s. So I continue with my story of either a 3 or also I could rep clubs here. So I bet 80, just under the size of the pot, and he calls, and I show my hand. We can't win with 6 high here, right? And he shows ace 8 offsuit. So just called me with ace high on the turn, ace high on the river. I guess he just read my soul there, put me on the exact hand I had, or maybe he saw my cards through my phone. I'm not sure. But anyway, good call. Ace high's good. Okay, to the last hand of the night, we pick up ace queen suited from +1. Under the gun opens for 20. He's a new player, just bought in for 1500. I make the call. It folds to the small blind, who puts in the 3-bet to 80. Big blind folds, and the initial raiser makes the call. And that brings me in for 60 more in position here with ace queen of hearts. So we go 3 ways to a flop of ace king 7 with 2 diamonds. So we flop top pair queen kicker. You see the small blind check right away. So I think of what hands that I would 3-bet check with on that flop, and it's probably 9s through jacks. I don't think I'm checking ace king, sets of aces or kings there with 3 ways and a diamond draw out there. So with that in mind, it checks to me. I bet 110. And he folds right away, so it sounds like a hand just like that, or maybe even a squeeze. But the player in the middle calls the 110. So now we need to put him on a hand. So that's what we're thinking right away when he makes the call. What range of hands is he on to just call the 80 pre-flop, check that flop, and then call to proceed? I'm thinking of Broadway diamonds, 10 jack, king jack, king 10, king queen of diamonds are all plausible hands. Ruling out ace king, set of 7s, because he's probably going to bet there on the flop or check raise. So let's get to a turn. We get a 7 of spades on the turn, which isn't great because now we're downgraded to aces and 7s with a king kicker, chopping against hands that are worse like ace jack and ace 10. So when he checks to us though, I still want to put out a bet to deny equity if he does have that flush draw. And if he does have an ace jack, ace 10, I can fire out huge on the river and really put the pressure on, if we get a blank that is. So I bet 220 on the turn, and he decides on a call. The river brings a queen of diamonds, completing the flush draw, but gives us 2 pair now with aces and queens. He starts reaching for chips and gathers out a bet of 350. Alright, step back into my mind for a second here. So there's only two reasons to bet this river, right? One is for value and the other would be a bluff. So what is he betting with for value here? Well, the Queen of Diamonds is a huge card for our hand because that takes out a lot of combinations he could have had pre-flop, right? If he's opening 20 and then calling 80, this takes away King Queen of Diamonds, Queen Jack of Diamonds, Queen 10 of Diamonds, all plausible hands right there, leaving left, what, King Jack of Diamonds, King 10, or 10 Jack of Diamonds. So is he really going to call on the turn with a paired board, and would he have played those hands like that on the flop? I could be wrong, but I decide that diamonds aren't as likely here, because if I'm him and I flop a monster straight and flush draw or pair and flush draw, I'm probably going to lead that flop or check raise, because remember I was in position there and I had just called pre-flop, so I'm likely not as strong. So I think he might have taken that line, which leads me to my decision to make the call here.
Good call.
He says, good call, shows the Queen 10. He missed the gut shot, but I think he had intentions to turn that hand into a bluff the whole time. Can't blame him for that. The math, though, was screaming call. I mean, I was getting 3.6 to 1 on a call there on the river, but still glad, regardless of the math, that I took some time to think and analyze. Sometimes I can be impulsive on my bet size or just action in general. I can act a little bit too quick. So with that one, though, we're going to call it a night, play for about 20 more minutes, and book a winner. In the game for 1800, out for 23.97, 5-hour session. We'll see you at the end, guys. All right, guys, that's it for session number 22. Hope you enjoyed the hands today. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe. Drop some feedback below. As always, I appreciate all the support and the feedback. Here are the stats, as always, after every session, the No Limit Hold'em stats as we go along here. Kind of a boring session today. Didn't have a ton of hands. Pretty card dead, as you guys could see. Felt like I probably played a little tighter than usual, too, which is fine. Yeah, other than that, that's it. Stay to the end for a trick shot, as always. And we'll catch you guys next Sunday. Best of luck at the tables. Have a good one, everybody.
Ooh.